The conflict between Israel and Iran is intensifying day by day. In this tense situation, our U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a warning urging residents of Tehran to leave the city immediately. Not only that, since the war began, the United States has significantly increased its military presence in the Middle East. A second aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, along with 5 destroyers, is now en route to the Arabian Sea. But what is the real plan behind this massive military deployment by the United States? And what could be the consequences if America gets directly involved in this war? We'll explore these questions in today's episode of Brain Boost. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. Although America has so far supported the Israel-Iran war indirectly, it is now secretly preparing for direct combat. One by one, the U.S. is transporting various advanced military equipment to the Middle East, among which the massive KC-135 fuel tanker aircraft has drawn particular attention. This aircraft is primarily used to refuel jets like the F-35, FA series, and the advanced F-20 Raptor midair. The presence of such assets clearly indicates preparations for long-range strikes. Why? Because these jets need massive fuel reserves to stay airborne for extended missions, and the KC-135 is like a floating gas station in the sky. That means American fighter jets can now continue their missions without worrying about fuel. Additionally, fighter aircraft are being relocated from bases like Ramstein in Germany, RAF Lakenheath in England, and Aviano in Italy. Meanwhile, the USS Nimitz has left the South China Sea, now heading west to join the USS Carl Vinson, which is already stationed in the Red Sea to counter the Houthis. Analysts believe there are 2 main goals behind this aggressive U.S. show of force. First, it's a direct message to Iran, showcasing America's overwhelming military capabilities. Second, it's a strategic attempt to bring Iran back to the negotiating table. But will this strategy actually work? Iran has already withdrawn from ongoing peace talks, so it's unlikely that such military threats will calm tensions. In fact, when the fear of attack becomes a reality, such intimidation no longer works. Therefore, simply moving warships may not be enough to implement any long-term strategy. Political analysts believe that creating fear of a foreign enemy is an effective tool for political survival, just as Netanyahu clings to power in Israel. By hyping the Hamas threat, the U.S. uses the fear of global terrorism to justify its military presence worldwide. It tells its citizens that if Americans don't fight wars overseas, their own homeland could be in danger. But this fear-based politics is nothing new. Every decade, the U.S. invents a new enemy to justify global military action. In the 1950s, it was Egypt's Nasser, in the 60s Palestine's Arafat, the 70s Barack Khomeini, and in the 80s Saddam Hussein. In the 90s it was Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, and since 2000 Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Hamas have become the new threats. Many experts believe Israel and the U.S. are now staging a remake of the Iraq War playbook. Back then, the Bush administration claimed Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which Saddam could use to attack the U.S. That fear sparked a war. Today, Netanyahu claims that if Iran hands over nuclear weapons to Houthis or Hezbollah, it could destroy the world. That's why, according to him, a regime change in Iran is now inevitable. The U.S. has long accused Iran of being a nuclear threat starting back in 1981. For decades, this warning has been repeated over and over. Yet time and again, the claims about Iran's nuclear weapons have proven false. The real U.S. concern today is not nukes, it's regime change. Influential voices in both Israel and America have hinted at this. Trump himself once posted that the U.S. knows the exact location of Iran's supreme leader and could target him if necessary. That alone signals a dangerous plan in the making to overthrow Iran's leadership. After toppling Saddam Hussein in 2003, the entire Middle East fell into a power vacuum. It was from this chaos that ISIS emerged. Experts now warn that Iran is 4 times larger than Iraq. A similar attempt at regime change could lead to catastrophic consequences. Despite its military power, the U.S. has never truly won any unjust war. Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan are all glaring examples. After spending $3 trillion and losing thousands of lives in Iraq, the U.S. had to flee Afghanistan after 20 years, handing control back to the Taliban. Interestingly, Donald Trump once spoke out against America's endless wars. He even promised that under his leadership, the U.S. would never get entangled in foreign conflicts again. His policies like America First and withdrawal from Afghanistan reflected that. Even in his second-term inauguration speech, Trump called himself a man of peace and unity. He tried to mediate peace in Gaza and Ukraine before even entering the White House. but his stance has shifted dramatically in recent months. Analysts believe that Trump's close ties with Netanyahu and Israel's aggressive military actions have changed his perspective. Ironically, Trump's Make America Great Again MAGA campaign was built on development, not war. That's why so many Americans brought him back to power. Now, many of his MAGA supporters feel betrayed. They believe Trump would end foreign entanglements, but it seems Trump is steering America back toward becoming a war machine. Recently, he even threatened Iran on social media, demanding unconditional surrender. But here's the truth: Trump has no idea what Iran really is. It's one of the oldest civilizations in the world, and its people are deeply proud and resilient. History shows that foreign invaders never survive long in Iran, no matter how powerful the US or Israel may be. Destroying Iran is not that easy. Many experts fear that if America goes to direct war with Iran, it will face another long and devastating disaster. Because in the end, victory in war doesn't come from military might, it comes from fighting for justice and standing on the right side of history. If you want to see the next video as soon as it's uploaded, subscribe and click the bell icon.